AC Milan, a club drenched in trophy, history and passion. This season, they've been anything like their former selves. From boardroom drama and tactical confusion to even your star players like Leao and Hernandez looking completely fed up, this season has spiraled. So today we're going to break it down. What's really gone wrong with AC Milan this year? Now this season, they started with Paolo Finesca at the helm at Milan, and it was a bit of a gamble. One that definitely backfired. AC Milan looked flat, disconnected, dejected, a team with no identity and a lack of passion. Now this confusion and disconnection between Milan, the staff, the players, all of that led to poor results and ultimately Finesca being sacked in December. And in came in Sergio Conceição from Porto, a manager known for his fire, grit and passion, something the Milanistas have been crying out for ages for this AC Milan team. But even with that switch, it still hasn't clicked. Tactically, they're a bit up and down. Sometimes they're pressing high, sometimes they're sitting back. It's going to be confusing not only for the fans, but also for the players. And that's definitely been reflected in the results. Now, of course, you can look at their main talismans like Theo Hernandez, Rafa Leao, but even they look a bit confused. Once Milan's brightest stars, this season they now somewhat look disillusioned. Now, multiple reports suggest that even these players, two of what looks like many players, are unhappy with the club's direction. And this can be seen all the way back in summer when Cardinale sacked Maldini and even Rafa Leao was a bit confused. Rafa Leao, usually bursting with flair and creativity, cuts a frustrated figure. And Theo Hernandez, yes, usually bombing forward, but even him, his connection with the club seems strained. Now this applies not only for football, but also in life. When leaders lose belief, the entire team feels it. And this is exactly what's going on with AC Milan. Now you might be asking me,
Mids, where is this disconnect coming from?
It's coming straight from the top. Jerry Cardinale and Redbird have absolutely, I don't even know what the word is for how they've mishandled AC Milan over the past 2 years. It's actually been sad to see. AC Milan were a footballing powerhouse, Champions League royalty, and always in the mix for contending for the Scudetto at the end of the season. Jerry Cardinale and Redbird have taken them from that to a corporate project. And of course, the fans are not having it whatsoever. And all of this spiraling out of control started exactly when Jerry Cardinale sacked Paolo Maldini as sporting director. Paolo Maldini, a Milan icon, a footballing icon whose heart and soul is Milanista. With that, everything started to fall from there. And then came these horrible quotes from Cardinale. Cardinale said, "My job is to position AC Milan to challenge every year. That's what maximizes cash flow and brand value." Two words that footballing fans do not care about or want to hear: cash flow and brand value. And then he even said, "It looks like my messages to the fans isn't going through. I won't send any more messages until we win." And if something like that doesn't scream he doesn't really care about the fans or what's going on the pitch, he then even said what might be one of the worst quotes from a football owner in history. In America, those who buy the teams own them. In Italy, fans believe they own the club. We have work to do to satisfy that concept. And it's the kind of talk that makes fans feel like numbers as opposed to actual supporters of the club. And it's this disconnect that he's been brewing ever since he took over. Yo, the disconnect is real. Like, it's really real. Now, of course, owners will always splash the cash and invest in their squads, but the investment going on in AC Milan is, I don't even know if you can really call it investment. Now, of course, owners have a due diligence to spend money in the transfer market and spend money wisely, especially when you want to bring a club back to its prior success. It doesn't really look like Jerry Cardinale has been doing that. If you look at the summer just gone, they brought in Fofana from Monaco and Pavlovic, two players who are relatively young in age, good squad players, but might not necessarily be the answers that the Milanistas have been crying out for. Then they also spent more than 10 million on Emerson Royal from Tottenham, and the fans definitely weren't happy about it. And then to put the cherry on the cake, they brought 32-year-old Alvaro Morata from Atletico Madrid. After just coming off the back of having a 38-year-old Olivier Giroud, it's not smart transfer business at all. And then, of course, when it came to some of the loans that they made, they loaned in Tammy Abraham, who, to be fair, was having a decent spell, but injuries have hampered him, and he's not been quite the same since his knee injury. They loaned in João Felix, who was already struggling at Chelsea before struggling at Atletico, and he's struggling in Milan again. It doesn't really make for a good picture if he's been struggling, and then now coming in to prove a point, he's struggling again. I feel like they could have saved a bit of cash and loaned in someone else. Maybe even Marco Asensio, who's been smashing it at Aston Villa. And then on top of that, they loaned in Kyle Walker from Manchester City. And it's a bit of good business, I guess, experience at the back. Someone who's been there, done it, won countless amount of times in England. But again, he's getting on in age. One piece of good business I can say that Milan have done this year is bringing in Santiago Jimenez from Feyenoord for around 30 million euros. He's a good player, a good striker. He's young, he's tall, athletic, he can finish. And it definitely is what Milan need. But they needed him definitely in summer, not in January. And if we go even further, talking about poor business. Loaning out Kalulu and then you're bringing in Pavlovic. I personally feel like Kalulu is one of those types of defenders who can cover both centre-back and right-back to a good enough level. Milan could have been better off keeping him, but he's gone to Juventus instead, who are around 5th or 4th in Serie A. Depending on when this video comes out, that might change. Now, of course, this season, they have had some injuries as well that, injuries to key players always disrupts things. Players such as Florenzi, Loftus-Cheek. But injuries aren't enough to take the blame for what's been going on at Milan this season. It's like they can't really break down low blocks when it comes to it. They concede usually the first goal in the game. And then when it goes on to that crunch time, that time where you need to dig deep and really find the winner or the equalizer, it seems like they crumble mentally as well. Like me personally, I'm not sure if it's just purely a tactical issue, but it could also be a psychological one. As I'm going on in this video explaining what I believe has gone wrong with Milan this season, make sure you drop down in the comments below your opinion as well, because I want to hear from you guys, especially those of you who might be watching AC Milan a lot more than I do. But I guess the entire season hasn't really been horrible. There have been some moments of brilliance and some moments of excellence. Now, of course, this season, as bad as it's been, there have been some highlights. There have been some, gritty comebacks against likes of Como and Lecce in Serie A. And there's also been that Champions League win that they got over Real Madrid where they were the better team. Mind you, Madrid weren't at their best, but it doesn't matter. You play what's in front of you, and Milan played them off the park. However, the lowlights of this season, whew, how long have you guys got? A 3-1 loss to Liverpool at the beginning of the Champions League season, crashing out of the Champions League to Feyenoord after, yes, like I said, them beating Real Madrid 3-1 at the Bernabeu. Not to mention losses against Napoli, against Lazio. I was there for that game. Make sure you guys check out the matchday vlog. Napoli, Lazio, Torino. It's not a good look for the entire season, no matter how many times you play the highlights of them beating Real Madrid. Right now, Milan are sitting all the way down in 9th place, again, at the time of recording. And this looks like it's going to be a struggle for them to compete not only for Champions League, but even European football as a whole. With Inter Milan being the only Italian team left in the Champions League campaign this season, it strikes a hard ask for them to, go further and be the ones to get the extra coefficient for the Champions League spots next season. Sitting in mid-table, struggling to get points, this is not the standard for AC Milan. So after all of this, you might be asking yourselves,
So what is next for AC Milan?
well, I'm glad you asked that question, because if Theo Hernandez and Rafael leave this summer, it's going to be a complete reset for AC Milan. Whether or not the investments made with the cash from Leao and Hernandez will be enough to, rejuvenate the squad and build the squad up in the next season, who knows? If Cardinale and Redbird continue to focus, on the business side of things and growing brand value, the gap between them and the rest of Italian elite clubs is just going to grow. But this is AC Milan. This club knows how to rise again and knows how to get trophies. But the question is, do you think the people in charge of AC Milan, the sporting directors, everyone in charge of the decisions, will have what it takes to bring up this Phoenix mentality out of AC Milan and lead them back into the glory days is what I meant, but you get what I mean. And of course, what do you think needs to change? And also, what other things have I not mentioned that has gone wrong with AC Milan this season? Hopefully I've covered it all. But yes, drop your thoughts in the comments below and I'll be sure to read them because I want to hear from you guys, all of your thoughts. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video. And if you're a true Rossoneri, make sure you subscribe to MB United, where we keep all the football talk honest, funny, light-hearted, and most important, I don't know where I was going with it. But yeah, subscribe to MB United as you will join a community of football lovers that love talking about not only Premier League, but all different types of football. And if you want to see me at my first AC Milan game, make sure you click the video here to watch my matchday vlog. But until then, keep it real, and I'll see you when I see you.